Chapter 1842 Information Coordination, Thought Body. After Yang Xinxin analyzed the situation, she finally said something else. But there's something disturbing about her words. Zhang Yi raised his eyes and looked at Yang Xinxin, where Yang Xinxin looked at Zhang Yi. She gives people the feeling that she doesn't care. If it is really a very important trial, why is the threshold for us so low? It's as if anyone can enter. Zhang Yi suddenly realized that this was the source of the uneasiness he had always felt in his heart. If this so-called trial is really so important, why do the knight and Ling look so indifferent? It's really humans opening the door, letting cockroaches and ants in, and then starting a game. Are they observers doing this to please themselves? But even if they just want to please themselves, if they ask us to do it, they will be rewarded. Because if they want to kill us, it would be too easy for them. You could even say that we have no choice. Thinking of this, Zhang Yi came to Ling again. Before he could even open his mouth to speak, Ling said, "I can hear all your conversations." She smiled and said, "It's up to you whether you want to go in or not. This is a one-time opportunity, but I suggest you give it a try, because if you succeed, the reward you get will be very generous. So generous, to a degree you can't even imagine." Zhang Yiyuan was able to hold back the lines he had prepared. In front of Ling, he felt like he was being seen through. This feeling has always existed. He used to think it was an illusion, but now he knows it is real. After Zhang Yi returned, he conveyed Ling's words to everyone. "Let's go and take a look." Zhang Yi said, "I have to give it a try, otherwise I will feel like I have missed something." Fatty Su looked at Zhang Yi curiously. "Boss, you never do anything you are not sure of. It's strange that you took the initiative to take the risk this time." Zhang Yi rolled his eyes and said calmly, "In this world, is there anything that is absolutely certain? You never know which will come first, the unexpected or the unexpected." However, he looked at the light gate. Ichigo and Loradek had already entered. "I think the mechanical civilization has more information than us. What they're looking for is, there must be huge benefits. Compared with the risks, the benefits must be greater. They helped us make the choice, and we followed them." Zhang Yi came to Ling again. Ling already knew Zhang Yi's character, and there was no sign of annoyance on her face. At this moment, she was like a diligent NPC, answering players' questions tirelessly in front of the mission level. "There's a huge gap in our strength. If we go in, what if those guys are guarding the door, ready to kill us?" This is the issue that Zhang Yi is most worried about. Since it is a trial, it is impossible for everyone to pass it. The best way is to eliminate all competitors, but with their strength, they cannot defeat Ichigo and Loradek. Ling smiled and said, "Don't worry, that won't happen." She leaned close to Zhang Yi's ear and whispered, "Anyone who wants to enter it will be suppressed to the same level in terms of strength. This is to prevent the difference in biological levels from affecting the results of our trial. To the god-level civilization, they are all bugs. So whether it is Ichigo, Zhang Yi, King Arthur, Saladin, and others, their strength is meaningless. Humans let ants and praying mantises enter the room at the same time to conduct experiments. They must avoid the praying mantis killing the ants first, as this would disrupt the progress of the experiment." After hearing these words, Zhang Yi felt completely relieved, and at the same time, a sharp light flashed in his eyes. Anyone who enters will have their strength suppressed to the same level. He already understood something. At this time, Zhang Yi's gaze swept over the people behind him. Those who appeared here at this time were all the leaders of various countries, and the existence of Ipsilon did not exist. But at this time, there were hundreds of elite troops in his shadow. Members of the Fukuge force, and members of the team. On weekdays, they can only do odd jobs on the battlefield, but if they enter behind the light gate, according to the rules of the light gate world, they even have a chance to kill Ichigo. The advantage in numbers is extremely huge, which brings Zhang Yi ecstasy. At this moment, Zhang Yi made up his mind. "Okay, I understand. Thank you, Miss Ling." Zhang Yi looked at Ling with great sincerity, trying to establish a good relationship with the examiner at this time. "Over the past period of time, we have established a deep revolutionary friendship. I hope our friendship can last forever, and we will always be best friends. Ling looked at Zhang Yi with a smile. Her eyes were playful yet serious. You are the man I like. You must do your best. Although I don't have much hope for you, I sincerely hope that you can be the one who passes the trial. Zhang Yi touched his nose angrily. You have so little confidence in me. Ling shrugged. I don't have any hope for any of you guys. Her tone suddenly became deep and distant, with the vicissitudes of life that was completely inconsistent with her appearance. For so long, we haven't found the right person yet. But now is really the best opportunity, because we are all tired. Zhang Yi seemed to understand Ling's words, but he still decided to give it a try after entering the light gate. At this time, someone had already taken a step ahead of him. Cardinal Arnold Olive of the Junjing Church, holding the Holy Sword of Judgment, stepped solemnly into the Gate of Light. Brian walked up to Zhang Yi, poked Zhang Yi's waist with his elbow, and winked at him. Hey bro, let's move together after we get in. This way we can look after each other. Zhang Yi nodded with a smile. Okay. Everything inside was unknown, and Zhang Yi agreed to come first. If there is a conflict of interest between the two parties, Zhang Yi will not be polite. While they were talking, someone else took a step forward. It was Emperor Shi. He and Gao Changkong walked towards the light gate together. When the others saw that some people had already started to enter, they who were still waiting and watching decided not to delay any longer. After all, no one knew what was behind the door, and if they went in late, they might suffer a loss, so they all went in. Saladin, the emperor of the Khatoon Empire, and the three giants of Asgard entered the light gate one after another. Let's go too, Zhang Yi said softly. He did not forget to remind everyone before he set off. Remember, you must stick together and don't disperse. However, his voice turned cold. If we meet other people in there, we can use our advantage of numbers to eliminate them first, especially the two most dangerous guys from the mechanical civilization. It's best to kill them. Only if they were in the world behind the light gate would they have a chance to kill a being as powerful as Ichigo. Zhang Yi looked at the light gate. At this moment, he had set the most important goal in his heart, which was to kill Ichigo. Because no matter what, a being with that kind of strength cannot be allowed to come out from behind the light gate. Otherwise, the whole world will fall into great chaos, and his own life would be in danger. He doesn't like unstable factors, and anything that would disrupt his stable life must be eliminated. Zhang Yi immediately posted this news in everyone's chat channel. After entering the light gate, if you encounter two people from the mechanical civilization, please be sure to report their location in time. We will use our advantage in numbers to kill them later. After sending the message, Zhang Yi said to the others, let's go. Zhang Yi walked towards the light gate, and the three people from Columbia followed not far behind them so that they could have someone to look after them after entering the gate. The foresight of unknown danger given to him by the second hand of time prevented him from sensing the fatal danger behind the door. But when he entered the light gate, he couldn't help feeling a little nervous. As soon as he was completely immersed in the light gate, the world in front of him suddenly became clear and turned into a huge white space. Zhang Yi was stunned for a moment. He looked around and found that Deng Shintong, Liang Yu, and others were gone. Several members of the Columbia team were also missing. Zhang Yi subconsciously called Yang Xinxin, Zhou Qier, and others. Only then was he shocked to find that Mu Yan, who had always been clinging to his shadow, was no longer by his side. He seemed to be torn away from the whole world and came to an independent world. Is this the trial that Ling mentioned? Although Zhang Yi was not sure what this ability was, he believed that a civilization with such a powerful existence should not be surprising even if it did something unimaginable. While he was thinking about what to do next, he suddenly saw a hint of red in his eyes. In the pure white space, a girl in red clothes stood not far from him. The image of the girl is human-like, very similar to humans, and even her appearance is almost the same as humans, but there are some subtle differences, such as slender ears and overly delicate facial features. Zhang Yi looked at the girl. The girl had come in front of Zhang Yi and was looking straight at him. Zhang Yi asked, "Excuse me, who are you?" Zhang Yi's attitude was very polite. am the manager of this world. In the language of your race, you can call me the information coordinating thought entity, or you can simply call me God. God. Zhang Yi murmured the word. To him, it was no exaggeration to call such an existence a god. He asked carefully, "Why did you hold this trial?" After hearing this, the god had no expression on his face. He responded in a tone that was almost calm, "Select a suitable successor to free the Yihan people." Relief. Zhang Yi was a little surprised, but before he could continue asking questions, the red-dressed girl who called herself a god spoke. "Now, the trials have begun. The first trial is a question." Zhang Yi swallowed and looked ahead with a serious expression. The girl in red asked, "What do you think is the meaning of life?" Zhang Yi was too lazy to discuss philosophy. Most of the philosophers in history were crazy, because thinking about those confusing questions all the time could really drive people crazy. What is the meaning of life? God knows. Zhang Yi was busy thinking about how to make himself live more freely all day long, and he really had no time to think about such empty questions. However, for the god-level Ming that the red-clothed girl is in, this is indeed a question worth pondering. After obtaining complete material satisfaction, the soul will fall into a huge emptiness. Just as Xu Hua said, after desires are satisfied, one will fall into great emptiness and boredom. However, Zhang Yi gave his opinion on the answer to this question without much hesitation. He had read some books, and he fully agreed with Mr. Yu Hua's opinion on fate. The meaning of life is life itself. There is no other special meaning. He spread out his palms. All life will perish. Species will turn to dust, and nothing will be left. Everything is meaningless. No matter how many great and meaningful things you have done while you are alive, no matter how many people will remember you, or even go down in history, you will eventually be forgotten by everyone. Any species will disappear over the long course of time. There is no special meaning to life. It is just that when we are alive, individuals of the species create illusory meanings for their existence to satisfy their own sense of existence. After hearing what Zhang Yi said, the girl in red did not give any response, and Zhang Yi did not know whether his answer would satisfy the other party. The girl in red then asked the second question. "Do you think you would be happy if you were given eternal life?" This question really made Zhang Yi hesitate for a while, because he really began to think, if he would never perish, should he be happy or sad? Since ancient times, mankind has been pursuing a longer life, whether it is the emperors in ancient times or the upper-class figures today. But it has never been achieved, so I've been tirelessly pursuing immortality. Zhang Yi touched his chin and said, "If I could live a long life, I would be very happy, right? The premise is that I live happily all the time. If I am unlucky, the longer I live, the more painful it will be. So, I think it depends on the quality of life." The girl in red asked back, "Doesn't this answer contradict your answer to the first question?" Zhang Yi blinked. The girl in red said, "If your desires are not satisfied, you will suffer. If they are satisfied, you will be bored. When you have an endless life, all your desires will be satisfied, so you will fall into endless boredom." Zhang Yi blurted out, "At this time, desire becomes death. Because only death can get rid of boredom, and excessive boredom can also be a painful thing." Zhang Yi followed the logic of the girl in red and came to this conclusion. He said these words out of reluctance, but after saying them, he frowned and thought for a long time. It's indeed a tricky question, but who cares? Anyway, I just want to live in the present and live well now. The girl in red in front of him looked at him with a thoughtful look in her eyes, and a bright light flashed in her pupils. "The way you choose to face the problem is to escape." Zhang Yi spread his hands and smiled. "Escape is shameful, but it's useless." The girl in red nodded, "Yes. My questions are over." Zhang Yi asked, "What about the result of my trial? Did I pass or fail?" He was actually a little nervous because he really had no idea. The first level was philosophy. He didn't know much about philosophy and was really worried that he would be eliminated because of his insufficient academic level. The girl in red said, "You passed." Zhang Yi's eyes lit up, and he thought, this trial is not as difficult as he imagined. Soon the light in the world before his eyes changed, and he was teleported to another world. After Su Chunlei entered the light gate, his eyes blurred and he entered a white world. He was stunned for a moment, then began to look around panicking. Boss, Uncle Yu, Master Deng, where are you? Vocal. Don't leave me alone. It's over, I'm dead now. Just when he was panicking, the girl in red appeared in front of him and looked at him calmly. Hello, Su Chunlei. I am the manager of this world. You can call me the information coordinating thought entity, or you can call me God. You will now be tested to see if you are qualified to inherit the Ihan clan's legacy. Fatty Su was a little confused by the explanation, but when he saw the cute and flawless girl in front of him, he felt relieved and a blush appeared on his fat face. He wrung his hands together and nodded. The girl in red suddenly said, My image comes from the personal hobbies of the collective unconscious creators. It is normal to arouse the intracranial mating fantasies of the group called otaku by humans. You don't need to feel ashamed of it. Fatty Su almost jumped up from his seat. Where? I'm normal, okay? Haha, who would have such a boring imagination? Fatty Su looked around with a disdainful expression, but his entire face had turned the color of liver. The girl in red didn't care about his hypocritical appearance, but honest behavior. Well, the trial begins. Now please answer 2 questions for me. First question, what do you think is the meaning of life? Fatty Su's eyes were stunned. Philosophy? How could I understand these? No, now when you higher education institutions conduct screening, do you have to look at academic qualifications first? The recruitment competition in big companies before the end of the world was already competitive enough, and now you have to go through this kind of tricks to get promoted to a higher level. It's really enough. That. Fatty Su wanted to speak, but he really didn't have much ink, so he looked conflicted. The girl in red said, Just follow your heart. I want to know your true thoughts. Fatty Su made a face, thought about it for the last time, and suddenly relaxed. Why should I be anxious? Anyway, I'm just here to make up the numbers. The people we are selecting are all capable, big guys like my boss or King Arthur. Just answer casually. After relaxing, Fatty Su was completely free of stress. Living things are just lives, and only when you are alive can you talk about the so-called meaning. If you die, the meaning will naturally be gone. The girl in red nodded without expressing any opinion and continued to ask the second question. If you were given eternal life, would you be happy? This time, Fatty Su answered without hesitation. If you give me endless games, figurines, and cute girls, I can be happy forever. After listening to this, the girl in red nodded. Good, you passed. Fatty Su was stunned for a moment. So simple? Then he became excited. I'm a genius. The light in front of his eyes changed, and he was teleported to another dimension. This is Yang Xinshin. She looked at the girl in red, and their expressions were almost the same. Facing this existence that claimed to be an information-integrated thought entity, she simply said, A high-level intelligent system? Got it. The girl in red asked, What do you think is the meaning of life? Yang Xinshin, life has no meaning. She answered decisively, without any hesitation. The girl in red asked, Why? Yang Xinshin replied, Life will definitely come to an end. The essence of matter is just a gene sequence. Memories will disappear with the death of individuals, and species will become extinct. The meaning is shaped by individuals and found for their own existence. Otherwise, they will fall into despair because they have lost the meaning of existence. The girl in red asked again, If I give you eternal life, will you be happy? Yang Xinshin, eternity will not bring you happiness. So happiness or not has nothing to do with the length of life. This answer made the girl in red silent for a long time, and finally she nodded. You passed. King Arthur's answer to the first question was, What a boring question. Only those whose lives are about to end would have the time to think about such meaningless questions. As for the second question, he responded, Probably not, because the reason why life is brilliant is that it will come to an end. Ichigo, The six-winged king of mechanical intelligence answered the questions confidently but cautiously. He pointed to the center of his brows and replied, "The essence of life is here. The existence of all things is spirit. Everything is illusory. Only the true spirit lasts forever." The girl in red asked him again whether eternal life could bring happiness. Ichigo responded with deep eyes. The existence of individuals is just the self-renewal of the group. If the group can survive forever, then we will create meaning for our own existence. So, individuals cannot achieve eternity. But groups can, he said here, pointing to the girl in red in front of him. Just like you. Gather the unconsciousness, and you will be the eternal existence of the Ihan clan. The girl in red simply said, "You passed."